So for the last 20 years or so, the Miami Heat have been the definition of steady success and efficiency. For them, it started when they drafted Dwayne Wade in 2003, and just 3 years later, Dwayne Wade helped the team capture their first championship in franchise history. Which is crazy to say, at 23 years old, Dwayne Wade was a Finals MVP and led them past the Dallas Mavericks, who were a powerhouse franchise at the time. They did so with the help of guys like Shaquille O'Neal, who they made a trade for. But from that point forward, things didn't look up for the Miami Heat. They were still a steady playoff team, made the playoffs a couple times. Dwayne Wade was still amazing, but they could never replicate that championship success that they had in 2006. They made a couple moves like trading for Sean Marion and such like that, but those moves never panned out. But none of that mattered. All of this would change in the 2010 NBA offseason, where the Miami Heat had the greatest offseason of all time. In this offseason, they were able to land a two-time MVP, one of the best, if not the best player at the time, in LeBron James. They were also able to get a perennial All-Star, All-NBA player in Chris Bosh. They got these players as they were entering their athletic primes of their career. And as you can expect, the response wasn't too pleasant. The Miami Heat formed a scary trio of Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. And in 4 years they spent together, they won 2 NBA championships and made it to the finals every single year. But this success was short-lived. LeBron, after 4 seasons, had decided to return to Cleveland, and it seemed like the Miami Heat were back to their old ways. Nobody really expected them to have the success that they had in the previous years. That just wasn't the case. Dwayne Wade somehow was able to turn back the clock, and he played well. Chris Bosh was able to still do his things, and they added pieces like Goran Dragic via trade, who blossomed to an all-star, and the emergence of Hassan Whiteside definitely helped the team. In the post-LeBron Dwayne Wade era, the most successful season came in 2016, where they were just 1 win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. But after that run, everything would kind of die down. Dwayne Wade decided to leave and go to Chicago because him and Pat Riley couldn't really see eye to eye. Chris Bosh had blood clots, which forced him to retire, and it seemed like the team would hit rock bottom. But once again, like we know for Miami Heat, that just wasn't the case. The team never really hit rock bottom, and even though they didn't make the playoffs, they were still right there. This gave them late lottery picks, which they used to draft guys like Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, and then it was time to get another star to join the team. And they did so with the crazy trade, trading Josh Richardson for Jimmy Butler. The trade was more complicated than that, but that's the general premise of the trade. And it's like you got a top 10 to 15 player for Josh Richardson. Jimmy Butler, he's a great player, an amazing player performer, amazing defender, mid-range shot creator, and that's the player that I want to specifically talk about in today's video. I don't know, nobody really expected Jimmy Butler to blossom to the player that he's blossomed to now, and it's crazy that he's been able to do so after his time in Philadelphia and in Chicago. And Minnesota too, but we don't really talk about that too much. Since joining the team, Jimmy Butler has led the Miami Heat to an NBA Finals run and the Eastern Conference Championship, where they were just one shot away from making another Finals appearance. Outside of Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler's Miami Heat team has featured an old Goran Dragic, an old Kyle Lowry, an inefficient Tyler Hero, Kelly Olynyk, Myers Leonard, PJ Tucker, a post-injury Victor Oladipo. I just feel like the Miami Heat could have made more moves to surround him with better talent. So I don't want to dive too deep into Jimmy Butler because we know how crazy of a player he is now. It's the others that I want to talk about. Firstly, I want to talk about Bam Adebayo, who's emerged as the second best player on this team. He blossomed to an all-star, an all-defensive player, and he's a consistent defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, it's not every day that we see a center put up 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. So what's the issue? Why do people still like to talk down on Bam Adebayo? Well, for some, you can say that he should be more aggressive. There's been times in the playoffs, times in the regular season where he just hasn't looked like himself and struggled against competition at or below his level. Now, part of that is on him, but another thing is that the team can do a better job at giving him players that can hit him wide open, that can make it easier for him to get certain shots. But at the end of the day, it starts with him, and he should start being more aggressive on ball. I like Bam Adebayo. He's a very good player, and I can't wait for the jump he makes next year as he enters the athletic prime of his career. It's going to be very, very, very good to watch. Now, let's talk about Tyler Hero. Whoa, man, Tyler Hero. Okay, so he started off his NBA career in the bubble. He was able to blossom to a 20-point-per-game scorer, a 6th man of the year. But when it got time to play in the playoffs, he always struggled. And this year he had some injuries, which kind of questioned his future role on the team. And he was the main component in a lot of trade talks this year, because Miami Heat had a lot of opportunities to go out and get some top guys. Maybe they could have made a trade for Bradley Beal or Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, but at the same time, I don't think a deal would ever got done. Kyrie Irving, I mean, there was a lot of options out there. Now, KD, like I said, I don't think he was able to get. Kyrie, I don't think that was able to happen, and Bradley Beal, he was signed for a crazy contract, so whatever. But the Donovan Mitchell fiasco is what really prompted me to make this video and why I believe Pat Riley is just playing games. Everybody knows that Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz were looking to split ways, and the two teams that were heavy favorites to land Donovan Mitchell were the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. Donovan spent most, if not all, of the summer in Miami playing with Bam Adebayo, playing with Darius Garland, who he joined now, but a deal just never formulated by the Miami Heat. And actually, a report came out that the Miami Heat didn't even make an offer for Donovan Mitchell, which is crazy to think. You look at the Cavaliers package of Colin Sexton, Larry Markin, and Ochai Agbaji, and 3 first-round picks as well as some pick swaps. The Miami Heat probably could have matched that. You have Tyler Hero, who's the main component, and you have other pieces maybe like a Max Strus or a Gabe Vincent, who played pretty well, that you could have looked to move as well. And you can say, oh, it would have been complicated for them, but at the same time, the Miami Heat have made complicated moves work. So what's different now? I don't know what Tyler Hero's future on this team is, because you don't know if he's a starter or a bench player. It's hard to really gauge the impact that he has on his team because Eric Spoelstra finds a way to win with or without him. He's still very young and can definitely take a leap in his playmaking, but for him it just has to be being more efficient. It has to be being better on defense. I just don't really know if he can do those things. It might be crazy to say for a young player like Tyler Hero, but something in me is saying that this is who he is as a player. He's going to be an inefficient shot checker that doesn't play much defense. So what is he worth? $20 million a year? I don't know, man. It's tough decisions. And it's like the Miami Heat don't have to make splash moves. It's not just about Donovan Mitchell. It's the lack of moves that they made this entire offseason. In free agency, they didn't do anything. You let PJ Tucker walk for nothing. And it's like you didn't make a single trade. And it's like, okay, you don't trade for Donovan, but what about trading for someone like a Harrison Barnes? What about a Buddy Hield trade or a Miles Turner trade? What about looking to San Antonio? Why didn't they make a move for DeJounte Murray? I understand it took 3 first-round picks, but something. You look at it like this, the team is compiled of Jimmy Butler. His secondary options are a 36-year-old Kyle Lowry, a post-injury Victor Oladipo, an inefficient Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo who's scared to shoot the ball. So I don't know what next season holds for them. We could see them return to their 2020 form where they lost in the first round in a sweep to the Milwaukee Bucks. Are they going to be content with another emotional Eastern Conference loss or another emotional finals loss potentially? I don't know what Pat Riley's doing, but it starts with trades. It starts with signing players. And it starts in the draft too, man. I didn't even talk about them taking Precious Achiuwa over Tyrese Maxey. Like, that was bad. Especially when you needed a point guard, that was bad. If I had to guess, it's looking like a down year because you don't know what you're going to do at that power forward spot. You don't know what Kyle Lowry is going to be in his 36 to 37-year-old season. And is Bam Adebayo going to be more aggressive and take that leap? In the contract year, is Tyler Hero going to show out and show why the Miami Heat should pay him? It's a lot of questions. You guys know me. I'm not really too fond of teams that have a lot of questions to answer. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Once again, this is Amadou So signing off. Please make sure to like and sub. And I'll catch you guys in the next one, man.